I just had it in my head that I'm going to do this no matter what it took. It was just chipping away one class at a time, not looking how far away my goal was, but just taking it one step at a time. They say the only way to move a mountain is one rock at a time. So that's what I was doing. And when I was applying for fire departments, every time I got told no, I just refused to take that as an answer, and I applied somewhere else, and I applied somewhere else. And I actually was in the process with Vacaville, got almost to the end. I was in backgrounds, and they said, we're gonna go with somebody else. And they told me no. A couple of years later, I came back. They liked that I was persistent, and they gave me the opportunity. The only person who doesn't get hired with the fire department is the person who stops trying. So if you're lacking in the physical fitness category, just start working at it little by little, and before you know it, with a good diet and consistent exercise, you don't have to kill yourself and work yourself to death, but just doing a little bit every day and getting better a little bit every day, eventually you're gonna move that mountain and you'll be ready. And like I said, here in Vacaville, you don't have to be, a top level athlete. We will get you to where you need to be. So as long as you're trying, we're gonna help you, and we'll get you right where you need to be.
No matter your age, if something comes to your mind and you want to do it, right? And you're thinking, should I try this out? I don't know if I should. You're not going to know unless you try. I always try to tell people, keep going until you can't go anymore. And then when you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, stop, take a little mental break, look in the mirror, say, why am I really doing this? And then keep pushing again. Because I think even in my short 9 years, I haven't worked a day in my life. I love my job, I love my career, I love my family, I love my work family. And it's something that you shouldn't shy away from.
I think to be a good firefighter, you need to be dedicated.
Somebody that's driven, that's honest.
We're looking for people that are strong. We're looking for people that can learn.
Definitely need to have both physical and mental stamina.
Hard work, attitude, effort.
Being a team player, being collaborative in your thought process.
It's a job that you really kind of have to go with the flow. At times you have to be very flexible.
Professionalism is huge.
One has to obviously have some sort of compassion.
People who are very service-oriented. They want to be community servants. They want to make a difference.
90% of what we do is going out and dealing with the public on their worst day.
So I always come to every single call and arrive with a bright smile on my face, looking to assist in whatever way I can.
Why is this the greatest job in the world? Well, because you're not in an office every day.
You're walking into the same place, but you're walking into different situations every day.
Today's fire service is all risk mitigation.
Most of our calls are medical related.
As the first arriving crew, we're like bringing the emergency room to the patient.
We do respond to fires of all different types, from rubbish fires to vegetation fires, vehicle fires, structure fires.
There's also water rescue, hazmat events that could take place.
And then there's other calls like vehicle rescues, cliff rescues, trench rescues.
If it's not law enforcement related, oftentimes we're the ones who are called to handle.
When we come on duty, we do a shift change, and the off-going crew pretty much just gives us a run-over of what they did during their time on duty, what calls they went on, stuff we may need to check over in the rig.
As the day begins after the meeting, we do our cleaning and maintenance of the apparatus and the firehouse.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Recruitment in the Spotlight. Today we're here with Santa Rosa Fire Department. All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Recruitment in the Spotlight. My name is Lasana Pakeman, she, her pronouns. I get to be the manager for Cal-JAC, the recruitment manager for Cal-JAC, and so I'll be your host for today. So a couple things we want you to know before jumping right into the episode. One is, if you are not already, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you don't miss future episodes and videos. And so we regularly post content on the CPAT, the FCTC written testing process, departments that are hiring, and so much more. So also joining me today, we have the program director, Mitch DeAnda for FCTC. Hey, Mitch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Before we get to our panel of experts, I just want to reiterate what Lasana said about liking and subscribing. It really helps our channel, and it really helps us get the content out there for folks like you that are looking for it. Also, one of the main points of this episode is to get your questions answered by our panel from Santa Rosa Fire. So we highly encourage you to put your questions down in the chat below. And to get us started out, I know we have one viewer who's a local from Sebastopol, but we like to know where our audience is watching from. So let us know where you are as you're watching the episode today. Not sure if there's more locals or folks from out of state, but can't wait to see, and all are welcome.
Okay, all right. Well, we are going to go ahead and meet our panelists. We also want you to know Santa Rosa, they're hiring right now. So you really need to pay attention to every single detail. So let's go ahead and meet our panel. And let's start with you.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Nestor Vega. I'm a firefighter paramedic with Santa Rosa. I've been with Santa Rosa for about 4.5 years, and I've been in the fire service for about 7.
Okay.
I'm Lindsay Williamson. I am a firefighter paramedic with Santa Rosa. Been at Santa Rosa about 3.5 years, and I've been in the fire service for over 6.
Hi everyone, my name is Travis Young. I'm a firefighter paramedic with Santa Rosa, and I've also been there about 9 months, in the service for about 7 years.
Hi there, my name is Alex Everly. I'm an engineer with the Santa Rosa Fire Department. Been with the department coming up on 3 years now, and in the fire service for about 5.5.
Okay. All right. So all of you have all this expertise, all this wisdom. Let's talk about it. So Alex, we're gonna start with you. So what aspects of the fire service interested you, and then what steps did you take to get into the fire service?
Yeah. So I, growing up, knew I didn't want to work in an office setting or confined anywhere. So ended up doing some ride-alongs and figured, hey, this is the path I want to go. I had a desire to work with others and especially give back to my community and help out as I could. So As soon as I turned 18, I went to EMT school, got my EMT license. From there, started working on an ambulance while taking some fire science classes along the way. Worked for an ambulance company for about 4 to 5 years, went to paramedic school. From there, I started volunteering with the fire department, where I was picked up with a full-time fire department who put me through their fire academy, and worked there for a few years and ended up lateraling over to the Santa Rosa Fire Department. So here I am.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Welcome.
Thank you. Yep.
And so, Nestor, what inspired you to become a firefighter? Your path is interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit different because my brother actually was the one that started the whole fire department career. When we were about like 12 or 13, he joined an Explorer post in Southern California, and he basically just made me go with him one day. He dragged me along to one of the drills, and then I ended up joining the post, and we ended up going to an Explorer Academy in Fort Irwin, California, and we did some really cool training. We got to do some live fire training and auto extrication and rope rescue stuff, and all kinds of really cool training, and it really solidified that that's what I wanted to do with my life. So after that, we just continued on with the path together, and we eventually both made it.
This is why everyone's a recruiter. Tell the truth. Did you want to go that day?
To the
your
Explorer
brother,
post?
Yeah.
No, not really. No.
And now you're here.
He really forced me to go, pretty much.
Lovely. That's awesome. And so let's talk about, in terms of departments that you applied for, just throughout the process, any advice you have for people facing rejection as well?
Yeah, so that whole thing, once I was qualified and like I had my EMT and had my fire academy and all that other stuff, to actually getting hired with a fire department as a full-time firefighter took probably somewhere around 5 years, give or take. And so in that time period, gosh, I think the last time I checked it was somewhere around like 87 departments that I applied to throughout the entire state of California, including a little bit of Nevada and whatnot. And 90% of those were a clear no or no response at all. So I think that rejection is not a bad thing in terms of applying for the firefighter position. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're not qualified. Sometimes these departments just have other pools of candidates that they're already pulling from, or whatever the case is, but it just takes time. That's all it is. It just takes time. It takes several applications. It takes several interviews for you to understand the way a fire department interview, the way the process goes and all that stuff. So it just takes time.
And we'll be getting into it throughout the episode, but there's a measure you all have. You need people.
Yes.
And departments up and down the state are, but specifically we're talking Santa Rosa.
Yes.
You all are looking for people. So we'll get into that a little bit later too. All right, so Lindsay, let's hear about your journey into the fire service and just how you navigated through the process of becoming a firefighter.
Yeah, I grew up around the fire service. I was one of the lucky ones that kind of knew it was what I wanted to do since a really young age. I went to a fire camp when I was like 10 years old, so out of high school, I kind of did the whole thing, got my bachelor's degree, EMT school, fire academy, paramedic license. Got hired at this department, but navigating the whole system and working my way through it, I grew up super active, physically fit, and when I really started pursuing the fire service, I made that like a priority in my life. I knew I had to be super strong, work really hard to not only get the job, but like be successful in the job, be able to do the job, be able to have a long career in this job. So that's today still something that's super important to me. I know I'm not alone in that. Physical fitness it's been my priority, and it was a huge priority for me starting out and getting into the career, so.
Shout out to you. All right. And so Travis, all right. So could you speak a bit about your career path? And I know you mentioned how long you've been on the job already, but maybe reiterate that and just how your path evolved, and just how your experiences and the skills you picked up led to you being here today.
Of course. So I was fortunate. I grew up in and around the fire service. My dad was a firefighter, so ever since I was born, I was taking pictures of the fire engine, being in the firehouse, so I got really involved at a young age. And I had my dad as a mentor to kind of really set out the steps that I needed to take. I started at 14 and joined my local fire department's Explorer post. I did that throughout high school. While I was doing that, I also was taking first responder, which is, for us, it's the initial class you need to take to kind of start expanding out and taking EMT and Firefighter Academy. So I took that at my high school, or while I was in high school. And then I started to work in construction just outside of high school while I was continuing to take fire science classes. I wanted to do the construction route to kind of get myself involved in the trades, to really learn how to use my hands, use power tools, understand like more of like how these structures are built, because it's such a big part of what we do on a daily basis. And I also worked in the grocery business for a little while, and that kind of helped with my customer service and just understanding how like the community works. And I wanted to be involved as much as I possibly could. In high school, I was also involved in sports, because that's such a big part of being a team. As we all here work together on a daily basis. Then I went and got my Firefighter 1 Academy, and then shortly after EMT, and then I got my paramedic license. I worked for a little bit on an ambulance because I wanted to make sure that my skills as a paramedic was as good as I could possibly be, because it's such a 80+% on a daily basis that our calls are EMS based. So yeah, and now I'm here at Santa Rosa, so it's pretty awesome.
Your path is so interesting because you didn't just jump right into medic school or anything like that. You really took some time to make sure you had maybe some bedside manner and customer service skills first. So
right.
Really, really interesting and very good, you know? So I do want to remind everyone watching to go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We will have multiple opportunities throughout today to be able to ask the experts themselves your questions, and they can give you some answers. All right. And so with that, Travis, we're coming back to you. Can you give us an introduction on the department? You know, how big is it? I hear the term big house. What does that mean? Like, just give us all the deets, all the information.
Of course. So we have 10 stations. 2 of those stations are staffed with an engine and a truck company, and another 2 are actually now staffed with an engine and a squad, which is a newer piece of apparatus that we have, which is like a quick utilitarian vehicle that's staffed with 2 paramedics and kind of being deployed as an ambulance, in a sense, to get to that scene first and start rendering care to alleviate some of the responsibilities of the engine, so they can keep in service for fire response calls. But 10 stations, 2 truck companies that are tiller truck companies, the 2 squads, and then we also have 3 Type 3 wildland engines, Type 6. We have a hazmat team, that's the regional hazmat for the city of Santa Rosa. We're also part of the USAR team for Cat 4. We also have a swiftwater rescue team, which we have several people that are within the department that are swiftwater rescue technicians. We have a rope rescue technician program. We also have hazmat, which I already said, I think.
Lots of opportunities.
Lots of opportunities. Yeah, and response is another one.
SWAT PD.
SWAT PD.
SWAT medic.
Yeah.
So tons of opportunities for multiple different specialties depending on your level of interest. Can you tell us about some of the different cadres at Santa Rosa?
Yeah, we have a ton of cadres that you can join. I'm part of the live fire cadre that we do, the forcible entry cadre, tower improvement cadre, which is just kind of like a group of people that works on how to make our training center better, what props can we build or bring or buy or whatever. I am a subject matter expert for a countywide active shooter committee, and I also serve as a tactical paramedic with the SWAT team with Santa Rosa PD. So aside from all that, we have, I don't know, another 10 probably cadres that you could join, including like the cancer prevention cadre that we started. There's a mentorship program that we're probably going to talk a little bit more about later. I don't know, there's a ton. There's a whole list.
Right. And so, Alex, how about, so there's all these opportunities available at Santa Rosa. I guess one of my questions is sort of a follow-up is, what's the process to get involved with any of those programs specifically?
It's a really easy process. Fortunately, the culture in Santa Rosa is everybody can participate. Everybody's experience counts. Whether you're brand new, you've only been here for 9 months or 9 days, or you've been here for 9 years plus, everybody's experience and opinion counts. So everybody is welcome to join those cadres. It really boils down to a simple email once you do get hired onto the department and you've proven yourself in the sense of passing the academy and getting onto probation. It's really pretty much a simple email. Make sure that you are up to date with what that cadre requires, and then you can join the cadre, given that there's space.
Okay, okay. So even as a probationary firefighter, from day one, your voice counts in those conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
The cool thing is what you're interested in, there's probably a cadre for that. So you find what you're interested in and you like get to be as involved as you want to be.
Okay, all right. All right, so Alex, for yourself and others, what makes people stay at Santa Rosa?
So kind of like what Nestor was just saying, from day one, your voice matters, right? We want to see everybody succeed, if they're new on the job, if they're 10 years on the job. So from day one, we care about you. We want to see you promote and progress through our department. And so that could be firefighters promoting to engineers, engineers to captain, etc. We also have our peer support program. We have a peer support dog that we just got recently. And so for any critical incidents that are stressful or could cause some psychological angst, we have the dog come, we talk to them if they want it. It's not a forced thing. So you definitely have your voice listened to and heard, and mental health is incredibly important to our department, especially after we had these devastating Tubbs fires and things like that they're hard. We're starting our new cancer prevention program. So about 100, I'm not sure the number, but it's at least 100 members from our department are getting a full cancer screening sponsored by the department. So we really care about physical health as well. We want to make sure our guys are healthy and okay and to catch these things early.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, prevention, you know, and just, early. You mentioned a dog program. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so we got this dog, his name's Maverick, and he's our emotional support dog, peer support dog. And so typically he'll be hanging out around the tower, just around when we do any kind of training. He comes up to you, you pet him, he likes being pet somewhat, but he's a great dog. And there's talks about us getting another dog or two in the future. We're not really sure yet. They're still working on that, but it's really nice. It actually has made a difference, at least for me. It's nice going to the tower, and if we have a stressful call, he comes by and I get to just pet his head. That's pretty nice. So.
I know you have a husky. Any intention of getting him involved?
Not him, definitely not him, but I would love to have one of our therapy dogs someday. A piece of home at the station.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, also, you all have a lot of outreach that you do in terms of recruitment and just building up, various programs and things like that. Can you talk about, Lindsay, why recruitment is such a priority for Santa Rosa, and how candidates can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our department is growing. We just passed Measure H, passed in Sonoma County, which is just gonna open up a lot of positions for our department, like over 30 positions in the next 5 years, firefighter positions. So it's a super exciting time for our department. We're growing. This is the first time that we've added more stations, more apparatus, more personnel in a long time. So it's super exciting to get new, fresh faces in the door, people that were really excited about this career. So recruitment is super important for us right now. We want to get good people in the door, people that want to be here, want to have a long career, happy, healthy career at Santa Rosa. So our department's growing a lot. We need more people, which is a super exciting time to be a part of this department, for us to already be here and for the new people coming in. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you totally did.
Okay.
And so for people watching that are interested in, okay, all right, she said something, he said something I'm really interested in, how can they go about signing up for a station visit or a ride along?
Yeah, so just contacting our department. You can shoot an email out. We'll get you that contact information. Call down to a department. We're super easygoing bunch of people. We love when people stop by, are interested in the department, want to get to know us. We want to get to know them, right? Like, we want to make sure you are going to be a fit for our department. And we're just really one big happy family. So we're super open. We love when people stop by, when people schedule station visits or ride-alongs. It's a really, really great way to make sure it's a good fit for everyone. So just contact us, and our department is happy to set that up, happy to help get your foot in the door.
So in the past, I know you all host a Women in Public Safety event. And so I've set up a table there before and kind of connected with people. Special shout out to, is it Corinne Rickert?
Yeah, Corey Rickert.
Corey Rickert, okay. Super welcoming, super kind to me. Shout out to her specifically. But also, can you tell us about the event? What is it?
Totally.
And who is it for?
Yeah, so it's a newer event. I think this year was our 3rd year hosting it. So it's for the public and it's for everyone, anyone and everyone. It's for the community to come out and see what we do, for people interested in the fire service, police, parks and rec, dispatch, ambulance. We have like a number of booths, all public safety based, that come throughout Sonoma and Marin County, set up a booth. People are there to just talk to you, provide information, help get you engaged in different activities. It's a super, super awesome event. We always have a great turnout. We have a lot of people that just come because they're interested in what we do and what public safety really is. And then we have a lot of people that come because they're interested in maybe pursuing a career in it. And they get to talk to a bunch of people. We have various schools there that like have the programs, EMT schools, fire academies. So they get to talk to people that are in those programs currently, see what it's all about. It's just a really great educational opportunity for everyone.
And that's middle schools. That can come, middle school students, people, junior
everyone.
College. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Blossom. We just want you to see yourselves in this event, and they're going to come out and join you next year.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, so let's jump to Mitch. Mitch, we know we have questions in the chat. Let's take a couple of those.
Absolutely. So you all have talked about a ton of different facets to your department and special programs. So I will try to not be redundant. Regarding the process for doing ride-alongs, Mustache Man Cam from Instagram has a great question, which is, how well received would it be as a former chef if I offered to cook a meal for the shift in exchange for a ride-along and interview prep? I'm wondering what y'all's take on that is.
It would absolutely be great if you did that. So come on by. Whenever, come on by. Just call us up and pre-plan it, but we would love that.
It depends on why he's a former chef.
Yeah, that's true too.
But it would be great. Like Lindsay said, all they have to do is get in contact with the department, and then we'll handle the rest. We'll schedule the ride along, and then you can show up, and we'll go from there.
He didn't share his specialty. Can we just get a couple orders really quickly? What are people in the mood for?
I'm more of a steak guy, but I mean, whatever you bring to the table, free food, right? Yeah, desserts.
Yeah. Now you have some tips.
Yep.
There you go, Mitch.
All right. Excuse me. Are there any other kind of unwritten rules for station visits, ride-alongs, things that candidates can keep in mind? I know I've heard a lot about treats, but do you have any advice for someone on just how to approach that ride-along, not necessarily the logistics of scheduling it?
I'd say come prepared. Like, bring a treat, bring something, come prepared with questions. Like, come prepared with interview answer questions. If they're gonna, a lot of times, like, people will sit you down and be like, okay, you have an interview coming up, or you're gonna have an interview. Like, let's do a mock interview. So come prepared for that. Come prepared with questions about the department. Like, we want to see you interested. And the more work you put in beforehand, the more you're going to get out of the ride-alongs.
How about attire? Do you come in a suit because you're ready, or do you come in workout clothes ready to work?
I mean, a suit, or if you're doing a ride-along, you can wear dark blue or black khakis with a dark blue or black polo shirt, just so you kind of blend in with us. And we have them where it says ride along on the vest, just in case we're on a fire or something like that. And kind of to tag on to what Lindsay said, if you're even just interested in joining the fire service and this is your first ride along, like she said, just come with some questions. We love showing people the apparatus, telling them every part of our job, and we really do like to have ride-alongs come on by. So
another thing that's maybe not something that everybody considers is bring workout attire, because we work out every day, and sometimes if you're there for 8-12 hours, we may be working out. And if you have that workout attire, you're more than welcome to join us and be involved in the crew and kind of see how we do that on our daily basis. So,
back to you, Mitch.
All right. So there's a few different questions actually from multiple folks about volunteer opportunities, and then kind of related is, do you have an Explorer program?
So I can talk about that because I'm on the Explorer cadre as well. We do not have currently any volunteer programs, but we are starting an Explorer post that should be up and running at some point this year. I don't have an exact deadline, but that is coming. That will be part of Santa Rosa Fire.
Well, excellent. Based on this chat, there's a lot of interest from folks that would like to volunteer. We also have some questions about the kind of transition from active duty military to becoming a firefighter. I know that none of you four are veterans, but do you have any insight or advice on someone trying to make that transition?
We have a specific veteran mentor program. We have a mentor program in general, but we have a veteran mentor program we have specific people that help veterans work through our process, work through the program, get hired, and help them just through their entire career. We have a pretty great support system there.
Yeah, probably make that transition back to like civilian life and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And those people that are part of that program are veterans themselves that work for us.
Okay.
So they understand that process and the veteran life and that transition into civilian life very well.
Okay. Mitch, did we have any other questions for this section?
We have two more questions that I'm going to squeeze into this section. You know, I know that a couple of you lateraled into the department. What to you, you know, aside from these specialized programs, what about the culture of Santa Rosa Fire Department drew you there and kind of makes it stand apart from other agencies in California?
Yeah, I feel like I can touch on that one. I lateraled to Santa Rosa after working for a department 2.5, 3 years almost. As soon as I came in, I was welcomed from day one. The culture here is incredibly positive. People want to see you succeed, right? There is differences in departments, what I learned when I came over here. Like nothing big, but definitely some obstacles to get over and new things to experience. But we're incredibly welcoming, especially to laterals. We appreciate experience, especially. I was just drawn here mostly for the area and some other stuff with our specialties, primarily working on an engine full time. So yeah, Santa Rosa has been great to me though. There's nowhere else I want to work, so.
Anybody else have any experience with transitioning or lateraling over?
I didn't lateral over, but I did work at a previous department, and I just, to go off of what Alex said, like, Santa Rosa is so unique in the culture we have. It really is one big family. Like, everyone gets along great. Everyone's super open and receptive, and it's the best place to work. Yeah. I don't know. It's a great department.
You probably hear that all the time, but it really is.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we head into the next section here, we do have a question from Instagram about should EMTs prioritize becoming a paramedic or completing a fire academy? So there's no necessarily right answer, I don't think, to this, but any insight that you all can provide would be appreciated.
I think it's specific to you, especially. You know, if you want to work for Santa Rosa, we require Firefighter 1 and Paramedic, or at least in the process with those. If you're interested in EMS and you're currently an EMT and want to progress, I'd say absolutely go the paramedic route. If it's vice versa, if you're more into the fire side, more interested in specifically just fire department, I'd say go Fire 1, just wherever your path takes you and whatever you like. So I don't know if you guys have anything else like with that.
Yeah. You need both.
Yeah, you need both. So,
but yeah.
Okay, that seems to be actually a perfect segue for the next topic, and just kind of talking about your hiring requirements and what it is you're looking for and what people have to apply. So I know that you all, Santa Rosa uses FCTC, the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center's statewide eligibility list. So we have Mitch here, who's the program director of FCTC. Mitch, if you could talk about what that means for Santa Rosa and what it means to be on the statewide eligibility list, and then we'll come back and talk hiring requirements.
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity. So what that means for Santa Rosa is that the department can request our statewide eligibility list whenever they would like. In particular, I believe the upcoming deadline is July 31st. So you need to be on FCTC's statewide eligibility list on or before July 31st. So what does it take to get on that list? There are 5 minimum requirements, and those are passing the CPAT, this is the Candidate Physical Ability Test, passing the FCTC written test, being at least 18 years old, having a valid driver's license, and having a high school diploma or equivalent. Those are the 5 minimum requirements. In addition to that, we highly encourage you to upload documents, including EMT certifications, Firefighter 1 certs, and paramedics licenses onto your profile, as many departments require those things. And as we just heard, Santa Rosa is one of those departments. So make sure on your FCTC profile, upload your Firefighter 1 cert if you have it, upload your paramedics license, and just make the process that much smoother for yourself. Does that kind of mostly answer the questions?
Yeah, for the most part. And then how about preparation services?
Yes, absolutely. So FCTC offers a number of ways to prepare for these requirements, specifically the CPAT and the FCTC written test. So for CPAT, actually look at the graphic on the screen right now. You'll notice that before July 31st in Northern California, we have multiple dates available for written testing as well as CPAT testing. So if you are interested in working for Santa Rosa and need to get your CPAT, go on one of these dates to one of these locations. Same with the written test. And as you can see on the screen there as well, you go to testing schedules on our website, fctconline.org. So with that, I'll transition to preparation resources. So with the purchase of a CPAT test, every candidate receives 2 free orientations. These are extremely underutilized, and we really encourage you to take advantage of them. In an orientation, you get the opportunity to walk around the course, talk in depth with our proctors about each event, get your hands on the equipment, try out the maneuvers, and really familiarize yourself with the test. The other kind of prep opportunity that we offer for CPAT is a CPAT practice. This is $30, and it is a game day simulation, essentially, of the CPAT test. Everything will run just like a CPAT test would, and so this is really your opportunity to know, yes, I can pass this test with confidence, or maybe not. Maybe I have some work to do first. So that's a really valuable opportunity for a lot of candidates. For the written test, the FCTC written test, the first step, I think, is go on our website, fctconline.org, and we have a 25-page PDF study guide that is free and available on our website. In addition to that, we also offer written test prep classes. These are 2.5-hour instructor-led classes that cover everything from what to expect on test day, reasons for candidate dismissal, logistics, and of course, the content. So going through each of the different sections of the test, teaching the concepts, and going through practice questions. So really some great opportunities that we have there. And that class, very soon, hopefully by our next RITS episode, will be available online, actually, as a self-paced module. And so we're very excited about that and hopefully make that class more accessible for everyone. But more to come on that later.
And so, Mitch, the number one question I feel like we get, so someone is interested, they want to meet the deadline for Santa Rosa by the end of the month, they call and CPAT's full. Man, it's full, I can't get in. What should they do?
So thank you, Lasana. That's a great point because we do get this often. So the first thing I would say is check back often. That we get cancellations frequently from CPAT and the written test, especially as it gets closer to the event day. You're going to see more cancellations, which means more availability. Secondly, though, call us or email us. We want to help you. If you're trying to meet a specific deadline like Santa Rosa's, we're going to help to get you into those tests. And again, those test dates are up on the screen right now. If for some reason all of these test dates were to fill, FCTC will open additional dates prior to this deadline. So always just keep checking our website. If there isn't something there now, there will be something there that's available. And if there isn't, call us and we'll try to figure out what we can do.
Awesome, awesome. So FCTC wants to see you win. Thank you, Mitch.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Alex, we're going to talk about requirements for the department. We now know that to apply to Santa Rosa, just another requirement, you have to be on the statewide eligibility list. In addition to that, what else is required?
Yeah, so in addition to being on that eligibility list, we require Firefighter 1 and Paramedic. However, recently, we're allowing you to either have your Firefighter 1 and currently be in your internship stage of your paramedic school, so doing your time on the ambulance, or vice versa, be a paramedic currently enrolled or going to a Firefighter 1 Academy. So what that means is even if you don't have a P card in hand or you haven't completed a Fire 1, you are absolutely allowed to apply and you would still be considered. And then another interesting opportunity, we have single role paramedics currently. So if you apply as a California certified paramedic, you can work on our in-response unit. And essentially what that is it's a unit in conjunction with the police department and Santa Rosa PD and Santa Rosa Fire. It's a mental health support, homeless outreach, as well as drug crisis response. And so they respond to our community members most in need for those services. So currently we actually have 2 of our in-response paramedics. We're putting them through a Firefighter 1 Academy with the hopes of them one day coming and working for us.
Okay, so can I repeat back what I understood
Yeah,
from what
please,
you're?
yeah.
Okay, as if I'm a candidate hearing it the first time. So you can be a paramedic, and as long as you enroll in an academy to get your Firefighter 1, you can apply to Santa Rosa.
Yep, absolutely.
That was a yes.
Yes, yeah, unanimous yes.
All right. You can also, what part of your paramedic program, where does your internship fall?
Sure, so your internship, typically with paramedic school, you go through your didactic time, which is typically your classroom time, and that ranges anywhere from 1 to 2 years, depending which program you go to. From there, you go to your clinical times if it's not included in the classroom time. Every school is different, but typically that clinical time is at a hospital and is around 120 hours. And then from there, you'd go to your internship. You get assigned to a specific ambulance, whether that's with a fire department or a private company, and do anywhere from 480 hours to I think like 960. I'm not totally sure, but it's somewhere along there. So if you're in that internship phase of your paramedic school, then we will absolutely, you can absolutely apply for us if you have your Fire 1.
Okay, this is excellent information because a lot of times you have to have those certs, those certifications in hand. And so what you're saying is you're willing to work with people to help get them there.
Yeah.
Santa Rosa all day. This is where people need to be applying. Okay, and so also each of you are paramedics. And so I would love to hear just about your journey in terms of deciding to go to paramedic school. We had the question a little bit earlier about which one should I prioritize? I'm an EMT. Should I go paramedic school or get my Firefighter 1? Nestor said you need both, so make sure you, right. But can you kind of talk about your own journey? Because paramedic school, to your previous point, can be expensive. It does take time. Can each of you just kind of walk us through what your journey was like?
Yeah, I got super lucky with paramedic school. I went to EMT school, got my fire academy, worked as a rescue technician, and then eventually got picked up to work as an EMT for a fire department on an ambulance. I never wanted to be a paramedic. I didn't want to do it. That was way too much schooling for me, and I just wanted to be a firefighter EMT. But it just never worked out. So years of applications like we talked about earlier, just never worked out. So eventually that department started a program where they were sending their EMTs on an ambulance to paramedic school. We were getting sponsored to go to paramedic school. The caveat was that it was an accelerated paramedic school. So instead of 1 to 2 years, it was 9 months. And you had to work full time during that schooling. So as long as you had completed paramedic school and worked, they were gonna cover the cost of paramedic school and cover the days that you needed to be at school. So that was my journey. I basically got handed the golden ticket to go to paramedic school, and I took it, and I absolutely do not regret it.
And it probably came with a lot of support infused because you're only in school and only work. You don't even really have time for distractions.
Right. Yes, there was no social life for 9 months. Yeah. If I wasn't home studying, I was at work, and if I wasn't at work, I was at school.
Yeah. How about you, Lindsay?
My journey was a little different. I was an EMT firefighter with the fire department, and I knew I wanted to go to paramedic school. After working for a little while as a firefighter EMT, I wanted to provide the highest level of service I could. I love the medical part of our job, so I went to paramedic school, and it was definitely expensive and definitely time-consuming, and I had to work through it. But I had a ton of support from my family, and that was crucial for me. And I just buckled down and got it done, and it really provided me a lot more opportunity. Like, I could apply to a lot more departments. I really wanted to work local in Sonoma County. I'm from Sonoma County, so I was able to do that by getting my paramedic license, and it was totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. Just wondering if any of you went through with someone else, or is this just a decision you made on your own and just pursued it on your own?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
Okay. I was with someone else, actually. So I had a similar experience with Nestor. I didn't really want to do the paramedic route initially. I was only exposed to being a firefighter EMT, and that was my whole goal. But at my time when I was getting into the fire service, it was like, you need to have your paramedic license. Not necessarily that you can't apply to other places as an EMT, just the opportunity is so much greater with the departments. At Santa Rosa being one of them, we only hire, as of right now, only hiring paramedics. So I was a little bit hesitant at first. I thought it was a lot of school. I thought it was expensive, and I didn't think I could really do it. But I had some friends that were also getting started at the same time I was, and we decided to sign up. And although it was really time consuming, but I had a great support from my family and friends, and it was nice to have someone else there going through it at the same time, and it made it easier. Sure, it was a year and a half, but it was the best year and a half, and I don't regret it. I'm really glad that I got my paramedic license, and it was a little bit discouraging at first, but it's totally doable. If you really put your mind to it, I think anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
Mine's a little different too. I was working only as an EMT on a private ambulance company, running 911 calls, was never a firefighter EMT. Made the decision, I really loved EMS and loved working in EMS and found myself wanting to do more on calls and felt restricted as an EMT, if that makes sense. So I applied for a few. I got into a local junior college program, and the benefit with the junior colleges is I'm not going to say they're cheaper, but they definitely give you more, they'll sponsor you through grants, and I know people that I went to school with that got their whole paramedic school tuition covered. So they didn't pay anything. Everything from...
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Yeah, so they got paramedic school. It was, I'm not 100%, you'd have to go to a certain school and see what grants they have, and it's based on your income, salary, and then other things as well. But people got their books and their whole paramedic school covered, and I got some of mine partially covered. So I'm definitely incredibly lucky. I only paid somewhere in $1,500 or so, whereas some of these schools cost upwards to $15,000. It's all dependent. And so it was at this junior college. It was about a 2-year, year and a half program, and I was working full-time during it. And like Nestor was saying, like, I had no social life. I just studied, worked, and went to school. And it's hard, especially, I was lucky because I was young. I didn't have a family or kids or anything like that, but I did go to school with people that had young kids, and it took a toll, definitely in their family life. So it's something you definitely need to prepare for, because it's a lot of studying, it's a lot of cramming. What we're expected to know is a lot more than you expect, and you kind of realize, how much we do as a paramedic treatment-wise. But did my clinical times, internship, and yeah, worked as a paramedic on an ambulance for about a year before I got picked up with the fire department.
Yeah, but the confidence that each of you must have when you're at a cookout and someone starts convulsing or something is just like, I'm not saying you're super relaxed, but you don't feel useless or like you're helpless, like you can't help,
It's a good life skill to have.
Yeah, nothing's enough.
Comes in handy.
Yeah.
Man, it comes in handy.
Yeah, definitely comes
in handy. A little bit. All right. Well, also, I do want folks to know that Cal-JAC, we're also very, very rooted and very invested in in your success as well. And getting into this industry, hopefully as a firefighter, we'd love to see, you know, all of you go on to become firefighters. And so we want you to know that we also offer a free paramedic program. You may have heard of it before. It's called the Cal-JAC Paramedic Academy. And so it's a pre-apprenticeship program. That means lots of different things. Please go to the website to find out more information. It's caljacacademy.org. And so this is where you can go to just kind of find out more information about what our academy is about. There's an interest form there that you can fill out. We're currently not accepting applications. Current academies are full at the moment, but we will be launching another one. And so these are grant funded. So in addition to the one you just heard Alex share, you could be the one selected for our program that's also free. And so we cover tuition, we cover the cost of your books, your fees, we assist with mileage reimbursement, childcare costs if that's something that, if that's your particular situation. And so, you know, just lots of information there. And again, we're, you know, very invested in just kind of seeing you progress through this journey. It's a lot to bite off at one time, but if you just take it kind of one step at a time. No one said that, but all of you are kind of describing that, you know, you can definitely get through it. Yeah. So, caljacacademy.org. All right. So we want to get back into talking about requirements. We want, you know, we want people to know exactly what it is you're looking for. So we talked a bit about those. Travis, so we want to know from you specifically, you know, you're the most recent person to have gone through the application process for Santa Rosa. We have a couple of questions for you. So one of them is, can you talk about what it was like, just any advice you have on going through the application process, and then just any tips you have on how to prepare for an upcoming hiring process for candidates?
Sure. So if you haven't ever gone through an application process before, it can be a little bit discouraging at first because there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be submitted. There's a lot of deadlines to be met. My advice for you is, if you're just now getting started, start to figure out, there's a lot of common the same things. There's Firefighter 1, your paramedic license, your CPAT, if that is required. Get all those documents in a big folder and have those ready so it's something that you can draw from when you're applying to all these different departments. Have those at the ready. Start practicing interviewing now, because it's a big part. It's what gets you in the door is the interview process. So, you know, do the station visits. We're all here to help you, trying to get your foot in the door and give you advice. And you do the mock interviews because that's what it is. So if you haven't done it before, it can make you nervous. You don't really know what the questions are to ask, so get involved early on. Mm-hmm. And then once you're done with the interview process, there's the background packet. You know, do as much as you can to keep all your previous housing records and where you went to school, because that's stuff that's overlooked. And if you're not like me, like being 23, like you may have to really look back and see what you had done in your lifetime. So that's important to kind of keep in track. And then keep up with your fitness. Just because you made it here and got it to the academy and make it out of the academy, every day it requires to be physically fit. So if you haven't already started, you're probably behind. Like get started now, kind of thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that. You do so much. You forgot some of the great things you've done.
That's right.
That's amazing. No, but that's all of us though too. And so I imagine like there's a million skills that you kind of picked up along the way that maybe you're downplaying, that you don't think relate to the fire service. And you're saying, remember those, talk about those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. And also the first thing I heard you say is get organized. Get a folder.
Yes.
Get your information together.
Yes. Yeah. As you guys will experience yourself, like there's many different classes that you're going to end up taking throughout your career in the fire service, and keep those certs together and always be looking to expand your knowledge and look to take another class. And just because you're not in doesn't mean you can't take some of those classes, and that's just going to help build your resume to make you stand out more as a candidate, not just having those basic requirements. Look to expand, and it's really going to make you stick out from other people that may only have the basic requirements.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of the themes I've heard each of you kind of talk about at different times is support. Having support as you go through paramedic school, having support as you go through the process. What does it look like to prepare your family for this huge journey, whether that's a spouse or just your network of people that have been supporting you? What does that look like? Anybody want to? Lindsay, it's you.
That's me. I'm up. Okay, well, obviously we've all had support from our families, which is we can't do it without our families, without our friends, support, going through the process of medic school, going through the process of applying places, getting hired, the academy, probation. So, I mean, we've all had a ton of family support. That's how we made it to where we are. My fiance is a firefighter. I recently supported him going through paramedic school, going through a rigorous academy, going through probation. So I got to be on the other side of it. I got to be the support and just having your family be there, picking up the slack when you can't, you know, preparing your family for that. Like, hey spouse, I'm not gonna clean this week because I'm so tired. And having your people really in your corner, rooting for you the whole time, being your support, picking up the slack when you can't, and kind of seeing the end goal that at the end of it, okay, we made it, we're over the hump, like we have an amazing career, we get a second family. That 2-3 years of grind was so worth it. I think that's the most important thing, is just seeing the end goal of that.
Absolutely. You look like the smile right now is like you just walked across the stage, like you're reliving it.
I just made it. We just made it. We're at the end goal. So.
Oh man,
it's awesome.
And so how about advice for candidates that are preparing for interviews? Any advice you have for that?
Preparing for interviews, yeah, totally. So it's like the worst thing ever, but sitting in front of a mirror and watching yourself talk, watching yourself answer questions. I wrote down 1 million different questions and wrote down the answers to my questions, and I would just practice. And obviously you don't want to just be scripted, like trying to remember your script, but you do want to sound well rehearsed, well put together. You want to have an answer ready. You want to have an example for every single question, a life experience example, some depth to your answers to these questions. So with that, you really do have to prepare for it. So that's my advice. Prepare, practice. It's the worst thing. But
tag on to that, you know, like, shoot, I've done hours and hours of interview prep. Now I sit on both sides of it. I've done so many interviews, and now I sit on our interview panel. The biggest thing we're looking for is just to see who you are as a person and really just selling yourself. It's, you know, I've been in these interviews where I myself am incredibly uptight, very stiff, and my answers are short. And we really want to hear about you and the things you have done and what, you know, makes you special. And everybody has something, so that's the biggest thing. Just go in there with that. We're having a conversation, you know. That's how we're going to treat this. So.
And how about tips on like just the CPAT? That's also part of the process. Any advice for people going through CPAT?
Yeah, the CPAT is the candidate physical ability test that you have to pass to get on that FCTC statewide eligibility list. That test requires some preparation, and I think it was Alex or Travis that mentioned it, that if you're not currently doing the physical fitness, that test, it should be the standard for what you need to at least be at in terms of physical fitness. That is pretty much the baseline of being able to get into the fire service. So if you go and take the practice sessions or the orientations and you find it really difficult, for me, the biggest thing that helped me to just basically be able to fly through the CPAT was running stairs. Running stairs with some weight. And just do that as often as you can, as safely as you can, because it can be dangerous, but just do that as often. Work on your strength, work on the cardiorespiratory system, just your cardio overall. There's not too much running in there, but it's certainly an important factor as well, just with working on cardio overall.
So if you're a walker, avid walker, or a power lifter, maybe one day, I don't know. If you're either of those, it requires slightly different skills than just that.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit more intense because it's a pretty short test. If I'm not mistaken, I think it might be less than 15 minutes. I think it's somewhere around like 11 or 12 minutes.
20 seconds.
Yeah, 10 minutes, 20 seconds, there you go. So that's the max time, correct? And so your goal is to get underneath that. Or at least be somewhere around there. So you're going to be putting in a lot of effort in a pretty short amount of time. So being able to build up that stamina and that endurance is going to be important.
Okay. All right, so the chat is bursting with questions about all the things about CPAT, oral interview, preparing, single role, in response, and also just the requirements. We're gonna go ahead and jump to Mitch and take some questions.
All right, well, I'm gonna do my best to kind of combine some of your questions. So if, you know, in our audience, if your specific question doesn't get asked, I really hope that we're gonna kind of cover it. But we have folks coming from multiple different walks of life wanting advice on whether it's realistic to pursue this job and this career at this time in their life, and then any advice on how to do it. In particular, we have a candidate that is 18 years old from California and is just getting started, to a 33-year-old that is a personal trainer and rock climbing instructor. So any advice that you have for those folks, and is there any cutoff in terms of age? Is 30 too old? Is 33 too old? Is 45 too old?
Just start. Pick something. Start EMT school, start a fire academy. Just do one of them. Start. Once you start, I promise you're going to fall in love with it. Yeah, I would say that's my advice for that. Just start it. There's no age limit. We've had people in our academies that are over 35, and they've been some of the best people that we've hired.
Yeah, I mean, in my first fire academy, I had someone, he was somewhere in his mid-40s, and he dominated us. Like, he was the best in our academy, like physically, and just with life experience. It really, you do bring a lot to the table the older you are as well. And yeah, it might be harder, especially with home life, but there is no max age limit. As long as you want it, you can absolutely get it.
You said that he what?
He was in his mid-40s.
He dominated?
Oh yeah, he like absolutely, yeah, he was killing it. I mean, he was crushing me, and I was like in my early 20s, and he just every time would just crush me. So maybe that's just me though.
That could be you. that could be you. Mitch?
So it sounds like as long as you're working out and you're staying fit, then age is just a number. We've got a question from Bogey Medic, and I'll actually take this one, which is any advice for someone working out of state as a firefighter paramedic trying to get hired in California? So the advice that I would give you is plan a trip to California. And plan it on at a time when you can take the CPAT and take the FCTC written test during that trip. We do try to schedule dates so that those options are available, that you could knock both out within a weekend or a couple days. So that's the best advice I have, because getting on FCTC statewide eligibility list is going to open the doors to potentially, to 176 California fire departments that utilize that list as a part of their hiring process. So that's my best advice for you, Bogey Medic. And last question in this section for our panel is from Maria on Instagram, and she wants to know what can she expect during a Chiefs interview, and I'll elaborate a little of how does that differ from the initial oral board.
I'll talk about it. So the Chiefs interview is a little bit more personable. The oral board is typically the first one you're going to go through. It's going to be generally consist of 3 to 4 interviewers or panelists that are going to be talking to you, more of a formal question based that's going to be similar across all candidates that are interviewing. And those questions are generally going to be similar to what you may find online for advice for taking interview practice questions, or if you were to go to a station visit, it's probably going to be similar questions in there. Whereas the Chiefs interview is going to be a lot more personable. It's generally 1 to 2 chiefs of the department, and they're really just wanting you to get to know who you are. They want you to be relaxed and feel comfortable, and they want to know who you are as a person. So to expect for the Chiefs, it's just come in and really tell them who you are. They want to know if you're going to be a good fit for the department or not. So.
Okay. Cool beans.
Can I chime in? Would you say that you were more nervous for the oral board or for the Chiefs interview, and like sitting in there? Which one was more nerve-wracking?
Honestly, for me personally, it was both. I mean, the biggest thing when you got to the Chiefs was like you made it past that first big step. That means that they obviously are interested in you, and you've got to the Chiefs, which is really the last step before getting that conditional offer. But my advice to you is once you made it there, just be confident. Still keep up, know the department, because that's going to be questions that they are going to ask you. Is what is it that you like about for us, Santa Rosa Fire? You want to be able to give some responses and really show why you want to work for us. And we love to hear it because we all are very passionate about where we want to work. But don't be so nervous. Everybody's gonna be nervous, right? You're on the line, so just try and be comfortable, be yourself, and that's what's my best advice for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Mitch. So Alex, you get the job offer. You've gone through the first oral interview, you've made it through the Chiefs interview, you get the conditional job offer. You're about to start. What happens next?
So what happens next, as long as everything goes well with your conditional and you get the full offer, depending how long it takes for the academy to start, you could have anywhere from 1 week or maybe 2 months. It all depends. And so during that time, it's incredibly important to stay up on your physical fitness, especially cardio, like Nestor was saying. You really want to be cardio fit because these academies, that typically is what it entails. Also with strength. Strength is really important too with a lot of parts of our job, but cardio is number one. Then you'll start our academy. Our academies now are 10 weeks long, and you'll cover everything from basic engine tactics with firefighting to truck ops to even EMS now. We cover a lot of EMS stuff in our academies as well. So our academies, 10 weeks. During that time, every Friday, you'll do what's called a ride out. You'll come to our stations and you'll ride along with an engine company or a truck company for 12 hours. And so that'll go on for 10 weeks. And then as long as everything goes well, you'll finish our academy and become a probationary firefighter with us.
Okay. All right. And then you get to sit next to Travis.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Awesome. And so as the most recent hire, can you talk about, strategies or things that Santa Rosa does to support its new hires?
Sure. So Santa Rosa is very welcoming. Everybody here, like we've already mentioned it a couple of times, is we want you to succeed. We're really trying to build you to be the best that we can, and no one wants to see you fail. And like we mentioned earlier, we have a mentorship program where as a probationary firefighter, you get assigned to someone that's been there more, a senior fireman that's going to be able to kind of help you along the way and tell you the tips with general station life and maybe some questions you may be a little bit nervous to ask your captain because you may think there's a dumb question, which I know is something that's may not thrown out there, but they're really there to kind of help guide you through the process of probation and through the academy. But for me, being this is my first real fire department that I've worked for, I found it to be really easy and really kind of set out through each 3-month period. We have a test for that given section. Once you finish the academy, you're given certain things that you have to work on in those 3 months, and then at the end of your 18-month probation, you have your final test, and then you're off probation, and then you're doing it. So, yeah.
How much longer do you have again?
9 months. So we're just over that halfway point.
Beautiful. And so I know this is a question that candidates are wondering. We've actually received this in the chat. Can you walk us through what it's actually like, just a day in the life of a probationary firefighter? Sure.
I'll try and give my short spiel, but generally, you start your shifts, you try to get there early. For me, I like to get there at 7, we start at 8. And really for me, that's just getting there, getting my gear on the rig, making sure I'm getting the off-going firefighter enough time to give a pass on and kind of get an idea of what happened on their shift so I can get prepared. You're making sure there's coffee ready, you're making sure they see what the station needs, if they're needing to go to the store and go shopping. And then throughout the day, you're kind of there as a support role as a firefighter. Your really responsibility is to keep the station maintained and make sure everything's clean and tidy and make sure that all that stuff's being handled. And then a lot of our crews cook together. So being the firefighter, especially at your first shift, you're probably going to be cooking a meal. So it's important to kind of have a repertoire of a couple different meals that you're confident with cooking. And then being able to cook for 3 people or 7 people, because you could be at one of our bigger houses that have an engine, a truck company, and battalion chief. So being able to diversify your meals, and that's important. It can be stressful too, because you're not just a chef, like we had a recent comment. You're running calls in between, so being able to adapt with that. But it's like I said, everybody there's here to support you. I don't think we have that stigma of a probie culture. I think that I feel very welcome and heard and really encouraged to succeed. So.
That's definitely kind of flowed throughout everything each of you has said the entire conversation, just that support.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Mitch, let's go ahead and see if we have any final questions.
Absolutely. So I'm excited. There's a couple interesting questions that we've got here. One is from Nessa707, who asks, what goes on in your mind when you're going into a fire? As you're going into a structure fire, forcing that entry or whatnot, like what's going through your head as a all relatively young firefighters?
A ton of stuff. It's endless for the entire time, from the second that you show up to the station to prepare for your shift, to when you actually get a call, to when you actually get on scene, to when you actually go into the building, or when you're walking up to the building. It is constantly ever evolving on maybe I need to go check this when I get on shift, to, oh, I'm glad I checked that because now we're going to a fire and I actually need that, to what the dispatcher said, and knowing your district. Maybe you know that street and you know how the houses are in that street, so you might be thinking that, oh, those roofs are tiled, they're not shingled in this street, or whatever the case is. So it's an ever-evolving assessment of what you're going to be facing in that aspect, and what you're assessing is, the answer literally is everything. Whether it's the type of material, like if it's tile or shingle roof, or how much fire there is, do we have hydrants near us, when is the next closest engine, there's a ton of stuff.
To tack onto that, we train so much as a department, so like we're thinking about all this stuff because we've trained on it and we know what we need to do and we know like what tasks need to get done. So instead of like being nervous or being scared or wondering, I don't know, all these little minute things, like we get dispatched to a structure fire, you get in the rig, you put all your gear on, like you don't even think about that because we've done it so many times, we've trained on it so many times. Like, you know what job you're gonna do, you know what has to get done, and you're checklisting in your head, but we're a pretty progressive department training wise. That's kind of what you just like revert to and fall back on is, okay, what have I trained on, and like now's the time to implement it.
Yeah, I think with that too, with the fact that we train so much, it really covers the basics. And then it allows you for when you're going to these incidences, because they're never the same. We're never going to the same call every single time. We have the foundation that we can fall back on, but we're able to now expand and really take in the whole call and scene and look for hazards and other things that aren't just on the training grounds. But you're always going to have that training that we've done day in and day out that you can fall back on, and you're not just walking up to something and having to go on the fly and not know what to do. There's times where we're adapting and it's not something that we may have trained on, but we're all here, we all have different experiences and different training backgrounds that we're going to work with each other to accomplish the task.
Yeah, like he was saying, we fall back onto our training constantly. No fire's perfect. We're always going to have setbacks. And with the training we do, as soon as we hit those setbacks, we're already mitigating it, right? We're already solving that problem. Okay, we're having trouble getting through this front door. Okay, we're gonna go over here then. And same thing with hose loads. Oh, there's something wrong with this hose. Okay, just deploy the other one. And it's amazing how effortless it can feel sometimes with the amount of training we do, that sometimes just pulling a fire hose on a fire, it just seems like you're on autopilot and you're like, oh, it's already down, okay, and flaked, and now it's charged, and let's go, right? And same thing with masking up and all that. So yeah, for me, sometimes I feel like I'm on autopilot. Like when we're on a fire, it just kind of, I'm like, all right,
get the job.
And then, yeah, then we're inside, so.
And this is why as civilians, we're so grateful for you all. So incredibly, you're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Mitch?
Yeah, so, second what Lasana said, but also you're all human. So I imagine that you are feeling some anxiety or fear or those types of things, but what I'm hearing is that you gain confidence from all this training that you can fall back on, and I know that's a big, very important thing for us here at FCTC and with the Cal-JAC, the California Firefighter Joint Apprenticeship Committee, that make sure that those kind of training standards are upheld and and that they are passed along to our apprentices. With that, I will go to one final question, and then I'll have a little reminder after that. But Michelle on YouTube would like to know, essentially, how do you educate fire department personnel, or what kind of training is available for how you respond to an incident or deal with someone with disabilities? Do you have, is there any certain protocol or training program on, how you would approach a situation differently based on someone's disability?
I think that largely depends on what kind of disability. It would be hard to have a program that covers every single disability that is out there. So we don't have a specific program for dealing with that, but what we do have is just, like we mentioned already, experiences from several different walks of life. So more than often, somebody on that scene, let's say if it was a medical incident and it was with a patient that had some sort of disability, more than likely someone on scene has either seen or has dealt with that disability before, and so there is experience with doing that as well. But in terms of programs, in terms of training, there's nothing really that we provide aside from just the experience that we have.
Yeah, I'll tack onto that too. We use this online training. We have to do certain hours a month, and we do occasionally get specific trainings on, for instance, autism and how to deal with people with autism. And especially, we have members at our department that have children with autism that then educate us on how to go about some of these situations, especially with somebody that might struggle in social environments and having so many people in their homes.
Excellent. Well, I will use the last of my time to just remind everyone out there watching that if you would like to apply to work for the Santa Rosa Fire Department, you can do so via the link on fctconline.org. And hopefully we can pop up that graphic again so that everyone can see our Northern California testing availability. And I encourage anyone that doesn't have those tests already to head out to Richmond, Sacramento, or Livermore and get your testing done as soon as you can. Thank you, everyone, for letting me get that last plug in there.
Of course, of course. Thank you, Mitch. Just all the expertise on all things FCTC. It is the most beneficial thing ever, having his wisdom and his insight here. Speaking of wisdom, we would love to get your wisdom, any words of advice you'd like to share for people that have hung on, that are listening in the car, wrapping up their lunch break, or just kind of whatever it is, or watching. They're watching each of you. And so, Nestor, we'd love to start out with you.
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice is, I've mentioned it already, but the process just takes time. Unfortunately, this isn't a super fast, go take a class, apply, and get hired. This is something that more than likely is going to take a couple years for you to accomplish. It's not necessarily designed that way on purpose, but it is crucial to understand that even if it does take, let's say, 5 years to get to that is not 5 years wasted. That is 5 years of you gaining more experience that you can bring to the table when you do get there. That is 5 years of more classes that you can gain knowledge on. That's a ton of time for you to get better to get to this position. So it just takes time. Whether you're starting young or you're a little bit older, it's like we talked about, that does not make a difference for us. If you meet the qualifications and you're physically able to do the job, we want you.
Lindsay, how about you? And thank you, Mr.
Well, if you are watching this or listening to this, it's obviously for a reason. You have some sort of interest in the fire profession, and my words of wisdom would be just not to give up. It is the best career ever. It's not a career, it's a family. I mean, we're all a family. We spend just as much time at the firehouse with our people than we do at home. And I love going to work every day. Not everyone gets to say that, and I get to say that. Like, I'm going to work tomorrow, and I'm excited. So don't give up. Do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that something very similar. I think it's it's going to take a little while, and that's just part of the process. But continue to work hard. Work hard when you get to that interview process. Work hard when you get into the academy, and work hard when you hit the line, and show that enthusiasm. We all love to see when people are enthusiastic and are just happy to be here, because it truly is the best job in the world. There's not a day that I go to the station and I'm upset of being there. I'm excited. I'm ready to learn something new, and it's just the greatest thing in the whole world. So keep it up. If you haven't started already, get started now. If you're started, you keep at it, and it'll happen. So.
Mine's gonna be short and sweet. Just stay motivated, stay positive, and stay passionate about the job, and keep grinding, and you'll get it. You'll get there.
All right, short and sweet, there we go. All right, well, on behalf of myself, the Cal-JAC FCTC, just all the organizations represented here, huge thank you to each and every one of you for coming all the way to Sacramento to be able to do this with us today, to be able to talk to the people about what it is you have to offer. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, of course. It's a little hot. We apologize for that. We couldn't control it. But you guys get to return to amazing weather. Beautiful. No, is it 95 in Santa Rosa?
Out there.
Never mind. Oh man, and special shout out to your team, the team of folks working behind the scenes who the people can't see, but we got a chance to meet. So very special shout out to Miss Krista Butts and the family. Also to Captain Mike Musgrove and then Chief Westergaard, just for kind of pulling all this together and making it happen. So thank you to your team. All right, so as a reminder, several things we've talked about today with Santa Rosa. First thing, and we want you to remember this, they are hiring when? Right now. Deadline at the end of the month. They have a continuous process, so if you miss this one, maybe there's some more certs you need, continue going through the process. You can reapply the next time that they have a deadline that's announced. And so why Santa Rosa? Because I've eaten with them personally, and I can say this is a group that you want to get to know. When they talk about how welcoming they are, I can personally attest to that. Felt very welcome at the table, and just it was a really good environment that they've created and that they're fostering for each of you. So make sure you take advantage of their ride-alongs, their station visits. I've learned that when you come out to a station visit, you can even get assistance on oral interview preparation. Take advantage of that. So also, just in terms of, going through the application process and applying, you don't even have to have all of your certs in hand at the time that you apply. They're willing to work with you to assist you through that process, contingent that, that you've made it a sufficient amount of the way. The mentorship, the support, everything that you've heard them talk about today. If I wasn't at Cal-JAC, I don't know. I'm here. It's too late. I love where I'm at, but I've loved everything that I've gotten to learn today. And so I hope with that you reach out to them directly via email, and you can reach them at srfd@srcity.org. And so go ahead. We have the links to their website, also to their social media pages right in the description below. Make sure you check those out and really take advantage of all the resources you learned about today. Phenomenal crew. And so also with that, other upcoming events, if you're in the Northern California area, Sacramento's not part of the Bay Area, but if you, we talked about that a little bit earlier, but Cosumnes Fire Department is having an event called Footsteps to Fire. This is happening August 3rd. Link in the description if you're interested in finding out more and just what this event means, what it's all about. All are welcome. They really want to get people interested and involved in the fire service, so check that out. If you're down in Southern California, you're watching us from there, that's okay too. Vista Fire Department is having their very first Women's Empowerment Summit. And so this is happening August 9th through 11th. FCTC is supporting this event, so make sure you come out. Lots of information, link in the description as well. So take advantage of that. We also want you to know that you're watching here on YouTube today, but we're also on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook and X with the handle @BecomingAFF. So don't just stay here, but while you are here, make sure you check out our other content. And so next week we'll be releasing a panel discussion, and this is advice. This is advice from actual firefighters on the oral interview process and station visits. And so you get the benefit of a panel to get get the varying perspectives that exist around each of these different topics as it relates to different departments. So go ahead, take advantage of that. Stay tuned, that's coming out next week. And lastly, we hope that you were inspired by something that you learned from the experts at Santa Rosa today. So I highly recommend go over to their pages after you leave here. Make sure that you go right over there, like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for each of their social media pages. Amazing job on social media. They're going to keep you engaged and informed. With that, thank you again.
Thank you.
Santa Rosa on 3.
Sounds good.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Santa Rosa! Thank you.